ball, free fall. Let's play hardball. Good evening, I'm Chris Matthews up in New York and back from China. Let me start tonight with this explosive words being attributed to the owner of the LA Clippers. He didn't want his girlfriend, he said, to be publicly associating with African Americans, even while he made his living with a team filled with African Americans, and his girlfriend was herself a minority. It was all about usefulness, apparently. The players made him money, the girlfriend was useful in other ways. If it were him on the tapes, and he hasn't denied it, what he had no use for were African Americans who couldn't play basketball at the NBA level, or not anymore, or offer him lovely, accommodating companionship. Well, tonight, we look at how and why this man, Donald Sterling, billionaire owner of the LA Clippers, got himself tape recorded in the worst such case of verbal self-destruction since Mitt Romney's 47% debacle, or going back further to Richard Nixon. Let's try to see this case for what it is, but also where it fits into the history of race relations in this country, and more particularly, the world of comments people make that get recorded and rip the scab from what is increasingly, I think, a healthy attitude in this country, especially among the young. And if possible tonight, we can chart where this particular episode will take us. Is Donald Sterling dead as an NBA owner? Is he really? Let's get to that one right now. Kareem Abdul Jabbar is the all-time scoring leader in NBA history. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 1995. Sam Amick covers the NBA for USA Today. Let's listen to the audio recording that TMZ posted that they say is Clippers owner Donald Sterling. It hasn't been authenticated by NBC News here, but Sterling has not denied it's him. A statement from the Clippers president says Sterling's emphatic that what's on the tape is not consistent with his views. But let's listen to the tape.
People call you and tell you that I have black people on my Instagram, and it bothers you.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people. How about your whole life? Every day. You could do whatever you want. You could sleep with them, you could bring them in, you could do whatever you want. The little I ask you is not to promote it on that and not to bring them to my games.
And not to bring in my games. And here's more from that. We'll have more from that later on the tape, but here's more of it now.
Do you know that you have a whole team that's black that plays for you?
Do I know? I support them and give them food and clothes and cars and houses. Who gives it to them? Does someone else give it to them? Do I know that I have? Who makes the game? Do I make the game or do they make the game?
Wow, Kareem Abdul Jabbar, it's an honor to have you on, sir, tonight. And I really am not sure what you're going to say. I've read your piece. I'm open to everything tonight. What do we make of this? Was this guy's reputation somewhat less than sterling to begin with?
It was a lot less than sterling, Chris. You should look at the suit that was filed against him by the federal government that alleged his discrimination against black and Hispanic tenants, would-be tenants that wanted to rent some of his properties. He didn't want to rent to people with little children. He has said things in deposition about the fact that black people smell bad and create vermin in the places that they live. He's said some very despicable, ugly things about minorities. It has no place in our country where we are supposed to be a place of equality and equal opportunity.
Sam, what's been the reporting on this fella before last Friday night when this story broke, this tape got out?
Well, as Kareem knows, this is not a new thing when it comes to this owner and his reputation. I think that's the frustration within the NBA community, is the idea that something should have been done sooner. We have a court record in the past. We have countless anecdotes from players, coaches alike, that Donald Sterling saw the world a certain way. The NBA never had the ability, they say, to do something about it, and now we see it unravel the way it has. And his name was mud before, but never like this, and I think more importantly, the player community was not as aware of it, certainly as they are now, and now we're going to see the ripple effect.
As you both mentioned there, LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling does not come to this current controversy as a blank slate by any means. He's been party to lawsuits involving race before. As you said, in 2009, Sterling paid nearly $3 million to settle a lawsuit brought by the Justice Department, the U.S. Justice Department, accusing him of systematically driving African Americans and Latinos out of apartment buildings he owned. At that time, it was the largest housing discrimination lawsuit ever. In a separate 2009 case, Sterling was sued by 19 tenants who said Sterling employees refused repairs to black tenants and frequently threatened to evict them. Sterling paid an undisclosed sum to settle that one. And Sterling was sued by former Clippers general manager, the great Elgin Baylor, whose original suit for wrongful termination based on age and race accused Sterling of envisioning a southern plantation-type structure for the Clippers themselves. Well, the race allegation was dropped for a jury, and a jury ruled in favor of Sterling, but Baylor's attorney will be our next guest tonight in the following segment. Kareem, you know, everybody's going to want to hear what you have to say about race and the history of the NBA as its greatest player ever, certainly by the numbers. And I personally, as a Holy Cross grad, remember way back when you gave that first interview to Sports Illustrated about your treatment at Powell Memorial by Jack Donahue. It blew our socks off when we read that, about how it used the N-word on you at a halftime to try to rouse you up. I mean, you've been through all of this. Put it in perspective.
Well, I think that the NBA has done a great job in trying to affect change. I played for the Milwaukee Bucks as a rookie, and they were the first NBA team to hire a black GM, someone in the front office that had power and responsibilities. And throughout my whole career at the NBA, they kept opening up doors. That's been the history of the NBA. And sports in general has been a great opportunity for people to step forward and make change. I think of Jesse Owens at the 1936 Olympics. I think of Jackie Robinson integrating baseball. And now we have this ugly, horrible things that Mr. Sterling has said about any number of minority people. There's no place for this in the NBA. We do believe in equality and equal opportunity, and we have proved it, and I think that if the NBA deals with this in a very quick and forthright manner, they will continue to have some credibility.
How do you see him as a guy? He obviously associates himself with employees or heroes of his team. They make him his money. He's got a girlfriend, I guess you would call her, who's a minority. And yet he doesn't want, in this weird recording, he doesn't want her publicly seen with these fellas like Magic. And how do you see this it's sort of a strange variant on race? What would you call it? Is it patronizing? Is it plantation?
It's the plantation.
Yeah.
It's the plantation model, Chris. You have in the plantations, you had men from Africa making money for cotton growers. You had women from Africa being sexually exploited by cotton growers, and the whole time the cotton growers looked down on these people with contempt as their inferiors. And I think that Mr. Sterling has really adopted that as his methodology. That's how he treats the people around him, and it's so unfortunate. We have to take several steps away from this guy.